Welcome to episode 15 of the Three Frosted Mugs, a Fiat Entertainment Group production. I am Rodney, and here with me, as always, is Chad.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Hello, Chad. And we've got Brian with us here today.
Thanks for having me back, guys. I guess I didn't piss you guys off too much the first time.
Not too
No,
bad.
you did very
You
well.
still got time, though.
You set a high bar, to be honest with you, Brian, so I hope you can surpass that bar today.
I'll do what I can. No promises.
And Matt, I promised I'd say hello to you in this show at the beginning.
Hello.
Hello, Matt. He's always enjoying his lunch right around this time.
I mean, it's always something good. It was pizza last week. It's Chick-fil-A this week. I mean,
It makes me forget that I even ate before I came here every time I see the food. We got to do something real quick before we get started in the show. We've got to congratulate the winner of Pick 3 Plus, and that would be MGR 22, 23,
44.
44. There's numbers.
55?
He knows.
Close.
This is the second time. Congratulations. You're the only Pick 3 Plus player in Pick 3 Plus history to win 2 weeks.
Wow.
Thank you, Michael Grant Rainey. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
I just picked it up.
Well, and you will be receiving another Three Frosted Mugs mug and a gift card to Famous Dave's Barbecue. And if you want to play Pick 3 Plus, go to www.threefrostedmugs.com. You can enter your Pick 3 Plus picks. They're weekly. And you can put in 3 QBs, 3 running backs, 3 offensive teams, top scoring game of the week, and a tiebreaker. Just a little refresher course.
And when we mentioned it in in Fantasy Focus, Veterans Day. I want to
Yes.
thank all the veterans who are serving or who have served and those who are serving. Thanks for making it possible for us to do what we do on a daily basis.
Yes, thank you for definitely unbridled courage.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. We live in the greatest country in the world, and the reason it's that is because of the men and women that so unselfishly, put their lives on the line in a lot of circumstances and protect us. So, happy Veterans Day, and I'd like to think that, more than just this one time a year, we can, take some time to thank someone or just think about it, because it is a special place to live.
Yeah, it's definitely a selfless choice to do something like that. So thank you. All right, well, let's move into it then, guys. Let's get started with the show. Wow, there were some surprising results of some NFL games this past week. Let's start with Thursday, because Thursday was just a debacle for Cincinnati.
That was ugly. That was Cincinnati scored 3 points.
They didn't get 3
Didn't
on the
even get a
board.
touchdown. Yeah,
That was
at
my
home.
kicker, Mike Nugent.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you would figure, a game like that, all right, you figure it'd be close because Cleveland's playing well and Cincy. But, I mean, it was almost like Cleveland had already packed up the season and said they're done with it.
It looks like, I mean, they started off so well. I mean, even still, they're 5-3 still,
Yeah.
or 5-3-1 rather.
Yeah.
But the Browns, I don't know what happened. Dalton and them were rolling. They looked great. And then
They
AJ
started
Green
off
got hurt.
3-0,
and then,
didn't they? Or?
Yeah, then they had a tie. Then now they got New Orleans coming this week, I think.
New Orleans at New Orleans.
At New Orleans,
After coming
yeah.
off a loss at home.
Ugh. No thanks.
This spells dry. I think they're punting their season. I mean,
Really?
I think they lose this ball game. You know what? I need to check out their.
Saints at 3-1 at home this year. I mean, that's good. It's always tough to go down there and win.
These are Andy Dalton's stats for this game: 10 for 33, 86 yards with 3 interceptions.
86 yards. That's one pass.
They scored their field goal in the first quarter.
Yes,
They got blanked the rest of the way.
They kept the Bengals down to a total of 165 offensive yards.
All right, listen to this guy. Well, it does kind of look better they go to the Saints, then they go to the Texans, which Texans have a tough D, and if Ryan Mallett starts playing well, they could be trouble.
That's a playoff rematch, isn't it?
I think so. Then they get a freebie. They go to the Bucks, and then they got Steelers, Browns, Broncos, Steelers. That's how they end their year. Steelers, Browns, Broncos, Steelers.
Steelers, Browns,
Ugh.
Broncos, Steelers.
No, they're cooked.
I mean, that is not good for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that's got disaster written all over. And I did one of my preseason picks. I did have them missing the playoffs. Did I tell you all that I did have the Arizona Cardinals winning the division?
You did.
Have I
you
mentioned
did.
that a time or 3?
Yeah, you keep talking about your Uncle Bruce. Yeah.
My Uncle Bruce, man. I bought the glasses too.
Another thing here, I mean, the Browns were just really well rounded in this game. I mean, 3 different running backs scored touchdowns. West had the most yardage, 94 yards for 26 carries. So obviously he's the one leading the pack right there. But Hoyer himself, 198 yards, 15 for 23 completions. No touchdowns of his own, but
no picks either, right?
No picks, not a single pick.
That's pretty clean stat line. But I mean, he didn't need to do a lot. They rushed the ball over 40 times.
Exactly.
And when you rush the ball over 40 times, you just have to basically something's working, so you just have to not give the game away.
I like
you
the Browns.
You want to put a side bet on this Cincinnati making the playoffs?
Let me look at the division first. You say they will make it?
They're not dead yet. I'm not sold on Pittsburgh. I'm still not sold on Cleveland. I don't care what happened in that last. Just look at who they've beat. I mean, they got drummed by Indy, but went and beat Baltimore the next week. Obviously,
That's
Jacksonville.
The division game. I don't put too much stock in the division game.
Houston. They got Tampa Bay left.
You know what? Let me look at the conference. Let me mull over that.
Let's put
not
maybe a
terribly-
friendly 5 on there.
Yeah, we'll do a lunch.
They're definitely not terribly out of it.
Now you're talking my language.
A lunch or a six-pack. Both your languages.
Speaking of lunch, let me just tell you this little story because I think this is
Yeah,
hilarious.
you do that, and I'll look up.
Yeah,
this,
you keep looking that up. So we went head to head in our fantasy league last week, and I don't know, like I'm only in a couple, and I'm kind of a novice when it comes to this, but they do stat changes like a certain deadline.
Oh no!
And I lost by 1 point the day after on Tuesday, right? And we had made a side bet to where one would buy the other one lunch. So, we met last Tuesday to do the show, and I bought him lunch. And I'm looking at my stats, and I'm looking at everything for the following week. It was like Thursday, and I'm looking for the upcoming week's games. And I'm like, why does my record say that I'm 7-2? This doesn't make any damn sense. I'm pretty sure I'm 6-3.
No big deal, 7-2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no big deal. Well, I was 6-3 after the loss, right? So I'm sitting there, and I look at the score, and it made us tie. And the way that our fantasy tiebreaker
they won by
is
a point in tiebreakers.
Yeah, won by 1 point in the tiebreaker. Combination of.
But how they took a point away is
who did they take a point away from?
Listen to this. This is what we get. I'm like, this is how terrible luck it is. We get a bonus point every 5 completions. We get a bonus point. So Nick Foles was sitting right at 10 completions when he went out. They said one of those passes to LaShawn McCoy was a lateral. So, of all numbers, I had to be sitting right on the line of a fantasy point.
Oh, man.
So, it took him from 10 to 9. Now, if he was at 11 or 12 or 13 or 14,
doesn't hurt.
It doesn't matter.
And then what's the tiebreaker in your guys' league?
It's so
kind of
stupid.
strange.
You pick 3 players as tiebreakers, and it's their total score against the other person's
But
total
the
score.
funny part is no one
there's
knew
no
that.
point.
So
there's no half-
we just play. Yeah, my leagues we just play ties.
yeah,
Like the regular NFL, like the real league.
Well, and
this is fantasy. We don't play that real stuff.
Yeah, we don't really own NFL teams.
I'll take that for a lunch. Even though
All right.
that tie's probably going to come back to haunt me, but I'll take that for a lunch.
Well, yeah. I just don't think they're dead yet. I like that Houston, Tampa, Pittsburgh. They can get healthy there. I mean,
Put it in the cooler.
We'll see. I don't
It's
know. A
on
lot of
ice.
green on their schedule.
All
Go
right,
ahead and
that's-
stick that in the cooler.
yeah, we'll stick that in the cooler. It's on ice. What other games we got to do?
Steelers and Jets. We got to talk about that because we've been labeling the Jets as the doo-doo team of the week for pretty much every week of the NFL season.
And these are pretty much like games Jets win. The Jets come back and just look, I'm not going to say great, but they look good against a hot Steelers team. Mm-hmm. But it means nothing. That's the games that they hear ever since the Jets run where they went to those AFC Championship games. They don't win meaningful games. They'll win a good game, play real good against a good team, but it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it has to do with Justin Bieber.
It definitely
It
has
was
to do with
definitely
the Bees.
Justin Bieber.
I
They
can't believe
hate-
that kid's still around.
The Jets hate Justin Bieber. That's why. Well, I mean that looked like the old Jets, didn't it? I mean they were defensive heavy. They weren't letting the Steelers get anywhere on the ground for the most part.
Michael Vick looks good.
Vic,
Yeah.
Vic, but he only threw for 132 yards, but he scrambled. He
Yeah,
got
what
out
was
of the
his?
pocket.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he was on his feet
Well, I
a
can
lot.
tell you who's terrible. No matter what happens, Geno Smith.
Yeah, he's cooked.
Geno Smith
He's
is
so
terrible.
bad. He was bad on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean he is just not. He's not. I mean we talk about it every week, and he's not an NFL quarterback. That was a. They should have. There's a reason every other team passed on him the first couple of rounds. He was great at West Virginia. That's it. I'm not spending more time talking about
even
Geno
his last
Smith.
year there, he was so great and was leading the Heisman talk, and then he just slid and slid and slid. He didn't even get invited to New York.
No,
Yeah.
tell me if I'm wrong though.
And
Sanchez,
he was there, but he didn't get. Wasn't he there for? Because remember they showed him, and they had to show up for day 2 or something. Wasn't he there?
No. I'm saying for like the Heisman.
Oh, Heisman, not
yeah,
for
for
the draft.
the
Yeah,
Heisman
yeah.
presentation.
Oh, yeah.
But tell me if I'm wrong. The first year that Geno, after he was drafted, Sanchez hurt himself, right? Bless you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Bless you, buddy.
But Sanchez injured himself that year, right? And that's what got Gino the opportunity to come in and start.
Well,
Is that
no,
right?
No,
if
they
you'll
are.
remember, they put him in the end of a preseason game at the end of the second half, like late in a preseason game, in a game that meant nothing and was already decided. And remember, he hurt his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he had no option to play, so they had to go with Gino.
Okay.
And then Sanchez was released, and they picked him. And what was a sneaky move? I heard this yesterday. I thought it was interesting. The Eagles let Deshaun Jackson go the same day they picked up Sanchez. So there wasn't a lot of fanfare around the pickup. But like we were talking about in the fantasy focus, I'm a believer in Sanchez, and I think he fits this Eagles team well.
Check this out. The Jets kept Le'Veon Bell to 36 yards on 11 attempts.
I know
rushing. I mean, their front line was just impenetrable.
What's
Their
his
front seven
receiving
is very
numbers?
good.
He probably caught 4 or 5 balls. Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon receiving. He caught 8 receptions for 33 yards.
Yeah, so PPR, you're getting 8,
Solid,
11. You're
yeah.
still getting 15 points. Did he have any touchdowns?
No, Martavis Bryant had the lone.
Well, he had
Bryant's rolling. Bryant had
he had that
143
80-yarder.
yard. Yeah.
80-yard
at the
touchdown,
end, but
143 yards, 4 receptions.
And if you pick him up on like those cheap, the other, 1 week fantasy teams, he's usually pretty cheap, down the line. He's usually
Antonio Brown had a couple fumbles.
Antonio Brown did?
Yeah.
And that's my man still.
Yeah.
Dude, he's
Brown's
2 fumbles.
such a stud.
He's the big reason why Bryant is doing what he's doing. Because you're not going to double Brown?
No. Well, that's
You got to show him attention. You got to have at least somebody keep an eyeball on him.
This doesn't really matter as far as the game results are concerned, but did you see Sweesham's ridiculous chip shot that just went wide left? I mean, it was
I missed
literally.
that. Did he flash back to wearing burgundy and gold? Is that what happened?
I guess because it looked literally like he had
Because
never
he's
kicked a
been
football
nothing
before.
but solid for them.
Oh yeah, dude. He's been but he was
Well, he was 2 of 3
garbage
for the game,
Washington.
but yeah.
Of course.
I mean, he was.
But I'm
just terrible.
disappointed. I like Mike Tomlin. That's a guy that went to William and Mary, Virginia boy. Very disappointed he didn't have that team ready to play, and he always stayed, put it on me, put it on my shoulders. That's not a game. If they're real and they're legit, they go in there and handle business in that game.
Did they just not take him seriously? You think it's one of those games where they chalked it up to a win?
And it's hard to tell, man, because usually you would figure a Mike Tomlin team wouldn't do that. Now they missed the playoffs last year. Now we know the Steelers don't like to do, make coaches moves. They're obviously he's the only third coach in team history. But if they missed the playoffs this year and possibly next year, I mean, does his Super Bowl warrant him for a longer leash, or how does that work out?
I think it does, and I think as long as I think he's kind of tied to Big Ben.
You think so?
I don't know. Do you let him go to another quarterback? I mean, when Roethlisberger's done, does that mean the end of Tomlin's done? I don't know. Like you said, the Rooney family does not like change. He does have a Super Bowl, and he's been to another one, so he's been to 2.
Roethlisberger, he doesn't seem to me like the Peyton Manning or the Tom Brady to where you feel like they can play into their mid to early 40s because they know when to get rid of the ball. They know when to call a play over. It seems to me like Big Ben is still so used to just, he's such a bear and you can't take him down. But it seems to me that before he even has that chance, I have a feeling, and I hope this doesn't happen, that injury will strike him before he gets a chance to be that kind of player.
Well, they said he came in much lighter and in the best shape of his life. And 2 weeks ago, we're not having this conversation at all. We're talking about Big Ben putting up 6 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Now we're just talking about his
500
longevity. I'm not questioning what he's done. I'm just talking about as far as like longevity. What is his life shelf? And
Well,
as far
he's
as,
a big guy. He's not a guy that he's gotten a little dinged up, but he's a guy that can extend plays and.
But he does it. And he does take those beats, and he doesn't get dinged up. Doesn't get hurt because he is so big. But as them bones get a little bit older, I don't know. I hope he does well. I mean, I like Ben Roethlisberger. He can be somewhat of a dick
The
sometimes,
Steelers need to get their defense back. That's what's won them Super Bowls.
That's it.
Defense, running game, and then the quarterback is just.
Speaking of lack of both defense and running games, how terrible are the Bears?
Oh my gosh, awful, pretty bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense, but it's terrible.
It's embarrassing if you're a Chicago Bears fan.
Oh, definitely.
That was the worst. I've never seen a team come out that flat, and I've watched the Redskins every week for my entire life. The Redskins have never come out and looked that flat. I mean, that's
was saying a lot.
Ugly.
That was terrible,
that
man.
Rodgers is good. That team is good. But that defense for the Bears is atrocious.
Well, see, I totally agree with you. Their defense is terrible. But what I don't get is you would figure in a game like that, with all the weapons Chicago has, wouldn't you be able to make it respectable, at least 55, 30 something? I mean, how are they not scoring points? Is it the coach, the offense? I mean, I don't get it.
I'll tell you what's interesting is Clay Matthews moving to the middle linebacker spot really caused a lot of problems out there. I think Cutler struggled, and that was the other thing. Their defense was on the field the whole time. You know, the Bears never possessed the ball and gave the defense a blow. So
and then you feel like you're under so much pressure to score when you got the ball, and then by that point the game's over.
It was just ugly. It was one side. That's one of those where I don't think the coach shows the film the next week. He just burns it and
let's not,
they move on.
They do like. What's his name did in Oakland where they buried the football? Was he just going to bury the tape? He's going to bury the tape.
That tape, that digital file is now missing.
Got you. We already touched on the Panthers-Eagles. I agree with you on the Sanchez thing. I'd like to see him prove it. I think if he goes anything 500 or below, I think Foles comes back and takes that job.
I think he excels.
Yeah. Cowboys get back on track. We don't need to spend much time on that game. Romo looks sharp. They ran the ball real well. Des Bryant did his thing for a quarter, but he didn't really need to do much. Big shocker, Saints lose at home.
Yeah, that was and a big play by Virginia's own Ahmad Brooks.
Oh, dude. Redemption from last year.
I know, with the terrible call. But that was crazy. And then they had the Jimmy Graham call justified there at the end.
Oh, yeah.
He two-hand extended. I mean, that's the rule.
It was definitely justified.
That doesn't need to happen. 4th and 10, where they pick up the 40 yards or whatever. The crowd,
totally agree.
That should have never happened. It was kind of like Denver the first year Peyton was there
in
when
the
Joe Flacco
game.
Throws the bomb. Yeah. It was one of them situations. Should have never happened. Saints should have won that ball game 24-21.
Best deep ball in football, Joe Flacco.
24-20.
Keep saying that.
He throws a good ball. And he'll stand in the pocket with the best of them.
Yeah. Giants Seahawks. Seahawks set the franchise record for rushing. Ugly, nasty game out there in the upper Northwest. And
the Giants, it was a ball game going into second half.
They
and
just ran it down their throat.
Detroit.
Down their throat.
They did. My Arizona Cardinals,
great
rolling.
Game. Great game. I mean, you can't talk about this game without talking about Palmer. Toast. Yeah. He's done.
In 2006, he signs a big contract. Same knee, same thing happens.
I know. And that was a playoff game. And the play he got hurt on, he threw a dime in that playoff game over top to not Hushmanzada. Maybe it wasn't Chad Johnson
Chris
either.
Henry?
It was Chris Henry up the right sideline, and then he goes down in that.
That was like first quarter.
I'll tell you what, his agent should be getting. It was. It was like the third throw of the game or second throw of the game.
It was early.
His agent should be getting a nice bonus because this was really well placed. He seems to have a real knack for timing.
Guaranteed.
Was it $20 million guaranteed?
Like guaranteed.
Woo!
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah, I read that pretty much is guaranteed that 2015 he's back. But after that, it's supposed to be a year-to-year situation.
Okay.
So,
everything's year to year in the NFL with these contracts. How big of a salary cap hit do you want to take?
Yeah, they told a couple people it was like a couple different guaranteed types, contracts. I don't know how to get into all that, but there's
I'm not a contract expert.
Certain guarantees and whatever.
I'm not an agent.
You think Stanton can get them to the playoffs,
yes.
Win the division?
How many games did
both.
Stanton
He was
play?
3-1.
Okay. All right.
But their only loss was to the Broncos at Denver.
And that's their only loss still to this day.
Stanton's good. I think they're not. Bruce Arians is a great coach, first off.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Second off, they got a stud running back. They got a good backup running back in Stephon Taylor.
Good receivers.
They got good receivers, a great defense.
Yeah.
This team plays good football. And all Stanton has to do is come in and not be anybody else but Drew Stanton. He doesn't have to come in and be Carson Palmer. He doesn't have to come in and be...
I think I don't think
Jake Plummer.
As solid as Carson Palmer was. Again, Palmer's not one of these guys who was lighting the world on fire for me. He was just solid. Stanton, solid. I don't know. I just love to see a Super Bowl team host. The host city, get the team in there one year, and I thought for a while they had a legit chance, and Bruce Arians still thinks they do. So we'll see.
I think so. I still think they do. We want to take a break and then come back, finish up.
Yeah,
with NFL,
sorry, I got
get
caught
into
up in
some
all
other
of this
I know.
wonderful conversation. It was good.
I was just looking at a game and I was like, I'm definitely not talking about the Falcons Bucks.
That's the game I was
Yeah.
sitting here looking at. I don't think I watched a snap in that game.
No.
Yeah.
The
Nor
only
do I
thing-
care about Titans, Ravens.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is
Chiefs, Bills.
Dolphins Lions was a great ball game.
That was great. That throw Stafford makes. There's not
Oh
one
my
or
gosh,
two
that
guys
was
that can make that
ridiculous.
throw.
Well, he
That's
even
was
tried to throw that
ridiculous.
throw.
Yeah.
Because they were in field goal range already. So why even chance it? But they threw it in there.
it looked like the ball went right under the defender.
I think he did curve it. He threw a slider.
It was on the run test. That was an
change up.
awesome throw.
It was sick.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break here. For you, it's going to feel like seconds. For us, maybe minutes. But we'll be right back, and we're going to go into some college football and some NBA conversation in the second half. Welcome back to the second half of the Three Frosted Mugs, episode 15. Thank you for sticking with us. Hope you're enjoying your lunch or whatever you're doing right now while watching or listening to us. And we wanted to wrap up the NFL discussion because we wanted to talk a little bit about what our doo-doo team of the week is. And we've explained it a little bit. The doo-doo team, which is normally the Jets always, is the team that's not producing. The team that is lackluster. The team that sucks, pretty much, is what the doo-doo team of the week is. So, Chad, do you have any nominations?
Yeah, well, we got, it's got to be the Bears. I mean, the Jets have come out of that spot. They beat Pittsburgh. They've
Give
come
them a
out of the
break.
doo-doo spot. The Bears do have 3 wins. I'm going to put them over the other 2 teams that we have here. The Panthers do have 3 wins, I think. And even though those teams are doo-doo, I think the Raiders have got to jump in the doo-doo
Well,
spot.
and you got to think about the week,
Cough,
though.
Jacksonville, cough.
Jacksonville, it's true.
They do have 1 win.
They have
Yeah.
one
But
win.
you're thinking of a grand scheme. This is the doo-doo team of the week.
Quit trying to defend your Raiders.
Hey, look, I love the Raiders. Okay, Raider Nation.
If it's going to be of the week, the Bears are
Yes.
I think.
The Bears far and away. I think Carolina's close. I mean, they were really bad to start that game, but the Bears, and both those games, nationally televised games. There haven't been a lot of really good nationally televised games this year.
Absolutely terrible.
The primetime games have been atrocious
Well, then
this
that
year.
Monday night we get this coming Monday night, Pittsburgh and Tennessee.
I know. Well, at least you
Come
get
on.
Colts and
Oh yeah, that's
New England
according
Sunday
to
night.
you. I mean,
so.
with your fantasy focus picks,
Oh,
that
man.
score is going to be 75 to 68.
It's probably going to be like 10-3, and I'm going to just not show up next week.
Your 1 week fantasy teams are going to.
You know what I like coming on sporadically on the show because I don't have to face the music of my prior. I think the last time we did the beat the bookie, I was like 4-9. I was like, oh, I'm never going back
We were
again.
going to let you slide. But,
No one's keeping track of the totals.
Oh man,
at all.
I'm here. Hold me accountable. I'm like Mike Tomlin.
oh, we are.
Well, I see you're enjoying a delicious beverage right there, Brian.
Yeah, the great part about you guys, you're themed so well with the 3 frosted mugs. I brought by some Goose Island Sophie, which is a Belgian ale, which is it's aged in Chardonnay barrels with orange peel. So this beer will bottle ferment for up to 5 years and take on different characteristics with the type of yeast strain that it has. But this is a classic. I love this vintage ale. It pairs really great with seafood and poultry and even sushi. So this is one of my favorites. Whenever I'm here, I'll try and bring you guys something different to try, something a little outside of the box. But good beer for around the holidays, certainly.
It has a hint of alcohol smell to it,
Yes,
and
I hope so.
He got
It
that.
tastes like it as well.
He's Cicerone certified.
Yeah, I know. Get this guy a badge.
I have very poor taste buds and sense of smell. So.
Tastes like beer.
It's good. It's good. Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, no problem. My grandfather always told me the 2 best beers in the world are cold and free.
There you
So-
go. Well, this is the best beer in the world.
Yeah.
Then.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we've kind of pretty much summed up the NFL talk. We've summed up our Sophie talk.
Well, you know what time it's for. It's time to go back to school to prove to Dad I'm not a fool. Yeah.
I think it is.
Billy Madison.
Crickets.
Billy Madison.
No, I know. I mean, we know what you're saying, but you really took it into like the
Crooner. Was crooning there?
yeah. I mean, you really went like 50s dance Sinatra style.
Well, I'm going to try some different music themes for doing until we get a board to actually have the buttons to press where it says back to school with Chad.
That'd be awesome.
You want that?
Yeah.
All right, you bring in the sound clips. You give me the sound clips, and I'll get you that.
I'm gonna get on this week.
Sick.
Actually, I can just use GarageBand to do that on my phone. I just record my
I
voice.
can think of like a million
And
great
adjust it.
noises we could have.
We need
Crowd
to,
applause.
Like we have the software and the capabilities.
We have the technology. Is that what you're saying?
Technology, yeah.
get out of town, man. Well, we're
That,
back to school.
That's enough.
Oh,
Matt.
no, yeah. I didn't
That's
even
enough.
hear I was-
Chad is on
Don't
it.
get in front
I've
of
been finally looking at my
Chad.
schedule. My computer was messing up, and I finally got it up.
Chad's
Hey,
ready.
3 sips of Sophie, man. Don't mess with me,
I
man.
know this guy is legit right
The
now.
late bell has rung. Okay.
0 to
And I'm
100.
backing down.
Real quick.
get to your seats. Professor Chad is talking.
Sorry, guys. Start with the number. And then I almost forgot where I was going with it. Start with the number 1 team in the country, Mississippi State.
What?
They got a tough
Homecoming game.
one going down to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, you're talking about this week. I thought you were going to talk about UT Martin, who they handled last week.
Oh, yeah,
You're
TC.
looking ahead. I'm sorry. I'm living
looking
in the
ahead.
past.
Okay, yeah, you're in the past. We're
Sorry.
looking ahead. I guess we could kind of. I guess
No,
I
we
should
can touch
start
on
there.
the past as we look towards the future.
Yep. So Tennessee Martin, they kind of breezed through them.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, I'm
Sounds
sorry.
like a health insurance company.
UT Martin, I think they are. Yeah, so they got to go to Tuscaloosa. That's where College Game Day is going to be. And games where College Game Day have been in Alabama. Alabama is 2-6.
Really? Where'd you get that stat from? How do you know that?
Cool stats. Cool
can't.
stats. Teams the week after playing service teams, 1-10. Continuing with Notre Dame followed that trend after playing Navy, getting beat in Arizona State. So, you do not want to play one of the armed forces teams.
And then have a tough one afterwards.
Well, it was 1-10 this year, and if you look at, I don't know exactly what the stat is going back, but apparently it's a pretty crazy number. Like
Wow.
teams really struggle the week after playing the service academy teams.
That's a good little nugget. Alabama is 2-2 against the spread at home. Mississippi State, they're something like they're 2-1 on the road against the spread. Let's see what the line on that game is. The line on that game is Alabama -7.5. I'll take Mississippi State plus the 7.5. I like everything about that game. I do think you're going to see some points in that game. I think you're going to see something like I think it's going to be a 30-28 type game, something crazy like that. And I think Alabama pulls it off, but doesn't cover. Of course, Alabama last week kind of caught a break. They were down with 50 seconds to go.
Great
They're
game.
down 13-10, and I mean Blake Sims didn't do anything all game, and all of a sudden he marches them downfield.
Well, the kid kicks the ball out of bounds.
That-
Momentum swing.
do you think Les Miles was bitter about that?
Oh my God! If you watch their facial expressions, they're all just hands on the knees. And I'm thinking, here it goes, kick out of bounds. And then, the Alabama teams just know how to win. They've been in these spots before, but that's tough. Going into Death Valley on a Saturday night, that was an impressive
They don't choke.
win. No, yeah.
What else is there to do in Alabama but play football?
Watch
Not-
football.
yeah,
and
I
they can
guess it's
drink
all
copious amounts of brown liquor.
Hang out with cheerleaders?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
The producer like that one. Florida State. This could be a hiccup game for Florida State. They
Yes.
go to Miami. Florida State's only favored by 1.5 here.
Yeah.
That's got all the makings of everybody, the public, jumping on Florida State. I think Miami shocks Florida State here because I think Miami's not scared of Florida State. It's a big rivalry game. These kids are going to be up. Miami doesn't stop to run
Absolutely.
that well, and Duke Johnson's just a flat-out stud.
Florida State, though, the one thing I will say is they have yet to click this year. It's going to happen at some point. They continue getting by. It'll be interesting. Miami's up, but Miami hasn't shown me anything that makes me think that they're capable of doing something this special, but who knows? That's always a great rivalry game. Remember that game used to be the first Monday night game. It was a Monday night game to open the season.
The game.
That was week one. I always looked great forward to that game.
Yeah.
My English is just
Good times.
super good.
That
Such good
was
time.
the game to watch. I mean, both teams were prolific, and Miami has lost at Louisville. They have lost at Nebraska and lost at Georgia. They haven't lost at home yet, but they haven't played anybody at home. They did beat Duke at home, and Duke's decent. They beat Cincinnati home, North Carolina. See, they haven't really played anybody. I mean,
Did you guys hear about the latest Jameis Winston drama? Have you heard about this?
point shaving.
Yeah.
And that's source. I think is kind of
I was gonna say what?
doo-doo.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like a 4% chance that all that's true. But I mean, the kid is dumb, so
he's shaving it tight at 1.5 here. I think Vegas is really telling us something with this slim line.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I would personally would stay away if I had to pick a side. I'd go Miami, but it's not one I'd touch. I like you got Georgia hosting Auburn.
Look at that line.
I know Georgia only 2.5.
Georgia put a favorite against Auburn, who's going to be coming off an angry, disappointing loss, a game they should have won a couple times.
But here's the thing, though. Now that they're a 2-loss team, are they just kind of so upset that they're probably not going to be in that Final Four, or do they really come back
the way the Final Four is looking? Everybody's losing right now.
Well, everybody mean the SEC.
They still have the Iron Bowl left. So if they beat a Georgia team who's leading the SEC East, then they go beat Alabama. I mean, who knows? If they get to the SEC title game and win are you going to keep the SEC champion out of the Final Four?
So this could mean a lot then, because Georgia wants to play tough. They're getting Gurley back, and if they win out and then play Alabama, or because it won't be Auburn, if they play Alabama from the West, then they're a 2-loss team that has an argument.
This is going to be good. This is the playoffs. I've waited my whole life for this. I'm so excited they're here.
And there's people, not a computer, telling us who's going to be playing. People that are watching the games.
And I'm okay with that.
TCU goes to Kansas. I'm not going to talk about that. That's going to be a drumming. Michigan State goes to Maryland. I don't think Michigan State's on upset alert. They're laying 12.5 at Maryland. Maryland's a good football team, but...
Nope, keep going. Live.
That just happened, folks. This is real life in here.
Our producer just looks at us and says, "Oh, shit." So... Arizona State's playing Oregon State. You get a conference game on the road. Don't see much of a problem there.
Duke and Virginia Tech?
Virginia.
Duke's only got one loss, and Virginia Tech just lost everything.
You know what? This is
the only thing. Virginia Tech's lost their pride.
Virginia Tech could come in there and win this ball game.
Yeah, they could.
Virginia Tech could come in there and win this ball game.
Keep wearing that hoodie, buddy. It'll happen.
That's the only one I got.
Gotta get you some. Wait till all your new Budweiser gear comes in from the catalog. That'll be fresh,
Budweiser,
man.
Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, man, all that good stuff.
Going ham.
There goes my paychecks. Notre Dame hosting a bad Northwestern team. Not going to talk about that. Now, a good game you do have in the Big Ten is you got Nebraska going to Wisconsin. Melvin, was it Amir Abdullah or Melvin? One of the top running backs. You could have two of the best running backs in the country playing each other right here.
Oh, so Mel Kiper Jr. is watching this game, but nobody else is.
And what you mean? You don't get excited for top 25 Big Ten games?
No. If this was a Pac-12 game or something like that, I might. But
I would take the under, because there's going to be a lot of run. Both these teams are just going to run the ball. What happens when you run the ball? Tick,
tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, but
tick.
Wisconsin's laying 6.5. Give me Nebraska in that game. Nebraska, I think those are a little bit better. Wisconsin cannot throw whatsoever. I take Nebraska plus the 6.5. Ohio State, surprisingly, is going to a 7-2 Minnesota team. Ohio State's laying 12.5. Do you see is there any reason here to believe Minnesota can beat Ohio State?
No, I think Ohio State's gotten it together. They've kind of grown up in a weak Big Ten. They've had time to grow and have put themselves back in a position to be there. I think, their only losses to that team from Virginia still. So,
and then we shit the bed after that. So.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. I don't know. I think Ohio State's the real deal. I think they'll go all the way to the championship game, and then would they play? Are they on opposite sides of Michigan State?
Oh, good question. That I don't know. Rodney, can you check that out?
If they're on opposite sides of the actual physical...
No, in the Big Ten, as far as the Big Ten title game.
Big Ten Conference.
All right.
And look up, see what side, who's on the Ohio State side and who's on
Rodney, let's go, man.
Yeah, let's go, man. Where you at?
I'm doing it.
While he's looking at that, we'll go over some other games. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, we're not going to talk about that. LSU, Arkansas. Now, this is a game... I can see Arkansas is going to beat somebody. Arkansas is 4-5, but they play tough. They run the ball good. Arkansas is a 2-point favorite here. Can you believe that?
Yeah, home field.
Yeah, but,
if we're talking about the SEC, can we talk about Tennessee and Kentucky? Go Vols. Vols, big win 2 weeks ago. Off week, coming back. Need to win 2 out of 3 to get into a bowl game for the first time in a few years.
Kentucky's good.
All right, I've got the Big Ten.
They are.
What was the question?
Kentucky.
What's the question?
Give us the rundown of each side. Give us the top 3 teams in each side of the Big Ten.
So Big Ten East, Big Ten West. Ohio State, Michigan State, Maryland for
They
Big
are
Ten
on the
East.
same side.
Oh, and yeah.
And then
What's the other
for the
side?
West is Nebraska, Minnesota, and Wisconsin.
So that Wisconsin. Well, there you go. Now, I mean, that's a game now.
So the Ohio State Minnesota game's big, and the Nebraska Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
There's
Wow.
some Big Ten action going on, and Michigan State Maryland because Maryland's still in it on the West or whatever they're in.
Wow. Heart-stopping action in the Big Ten.
On the East, yeah. On the
There's
East.
so exciting football games in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So anyway, Arkansas's favorite LSU. That game stinks. I have to lose like everybody else. Give me LSU plus the 2. Utah Stanford. Not going to talk about that game. Boring. Stanford's terrible. They can't throw the ball. They're kind of like Wisconsin.
Bunch of nerds.
Washington, Arizona.
Lawyers
no
and
implications. Clemson, Georgia Tech. Whatever. ACC. They're terrible except for. I mean, they're both ranked, but everybody's terrible except for Florida State. And that's really back to school with Chad.
Well, don't forget you got Cal USC Thursday night. That'll be a fun game. USC is still around, hanging around in there. Oregon's off this week, so Arizona State at Oregon State. Oregon State always a tough place to play at, and Arizona State with only 1 loss is not out of this thing yet. So
Giving up 9.5. Yeah, I mean they're moved up a lot with the drumming they put on Notre Dame.
yeah, interesting. Should be a good weekend. Not as good as last weekend, but we're starting to inch closer to Conference Championship weekend.
I'll tell you what there's going to be a lot of this year. There's going to be a lot of great bowl games.
Yeah, I agree.
There's going to, I mean, this bowl season, man, I'm excited. Not only is it all going to lead up to the Final Four, I guess you could say, but the bowl games are just going to be ridiculous.
And I think the rankings have forced people to pay attention to more teams than they usually do. So the public's a little more educated about some of these not second tier, but kind of the runner-up, the honorable mention bowl games. They're going to be, the Capital One Bowl, and some of those are going to be fantastic games.
Exactly.
The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, that whole deal. So, yeah, it's exciting. And, some of those bowl games, like whoever, I'd love to see them put 5 and 6 against each other and play that game and see, like, hey, that team, would they have been arguably
5 and 6
in
and
there?
7 and 8 because you got to figure anybody 8 down or even 10 and down were right there and had a shot most likely until the end.
It's eventually going to be an 8-team playoff. I don't think it'll get any bigger than that, but I think it will get to 8 because I think they're going to have such a big economic windfall from this thing that it will eventually go to 8 because the more the merrier.
Without question. And more by merrier you mean money.
Yes. I'm talking about straight cash, homie.
How do you pay by fines?
Straight cash, homie.
That's right.
He's actually tonight. I know this isn't live, but Rand University featuring Moss. That's going some of his highlights of him being a young athlete, playing all these different sports, baseball, basketball. He's a stud.
30 for 30 tonight?
Yeah, the 30 for 30.
One of the best I ever seen when he played for Marshall. And then Minnesota.
Yeah.
One of the best I've ever seen.
Well, he and the last preseason game I ever went to, and probably the last one I will ever go to, I went and saw when they were in their prime. He and Brady were in their prime against the Redskins, and I watched them work in the first half, and it was the most impressive thing I'd ever seen in my life. I was just those two together were something special. And while we're on his subject, did you see he considered coming back to play for Denver? He said if Peyton Manning called him, he'd consider lacing up the cleats one more time.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Be
How would you like to have him for maybe 15 snaps a game?
How'd you like to just have him maybe in a play? He's one of those guys, you get him in a playoff game, he's going to make some kind of big play, a sideline catch, a jump ball in the end zone. Moss is a freak. I think when you see tonight, you'll look at this 30 for 30 and say, I guarantee he can still go.
Well, you went to high school with, don't you?
No.
What's the guy's name? Played for my Chad. What's the guy? Did he go to high school with him too, or the same high school? I know they played him. Who did he play at Marshall with?
Chad Henne?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, not Chad Henne.
Chad had it when he
what's the guy's name? Golly day.
What if I told you?
Chad Pennington.
Oh, Pennington.
Didn't they go to the same high school, or did they just play together at Marshall?
I don't know. We're starting to,
What if I told
Jason
you?
Williams. Maybe Jason Williams he went to the same high school with.
That sounds like it's more, yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
And they played ball together.
White chocolate.
Basketball.
Baller. Basketball.
Speaking of
Great
basketball.
Oh, yeah. Great transition.
Yeah, you like that?
Segue.
What if I told you we're about to talk about the Wizards?
In a world where Rodney has a great segue.
All right, yeah. So let's move into the Wizards. Because since the last show, they played 3 games. They played the Pacers, they've played the Raptors, and they played the Pacers again.
Yep.
And they've beaten the Pacers both times, once in overtime, and then they got their tails handed to them by the Raptors.
Well, I can tell you, that they're not missing him a whole lot right now, Bradley Beal, but they want him back.
Oh, sure.
You got some guys stepping in that are playing really good, but when you talk about, somebody like a Paul Pierce, I think we looked, he was logging like 27 minutes a game or something. That's not going to keep up. If you want him late in the season, you got to keep him consistently in the low 20s to high teens. And then when it comes playoff time, you give him some more minutes.
He'll be fine. They'll be fine. Secretly enough, I'm a huge NBA fan. I love college basketball, but I love NBA. I will
Who's
watch.
Your team?
I'm a Lakers fan.
Right.
I do like the hometown Wiz and keep a close eye on them and watch most of their games. I think they have the best home announce crew in basketball. I love Buckner and Chenier, and those guys are great. Dagger.
Yeah.
But the Wizards are legit. When Beal comes back, they get deeper. Garrett Temple has really filled in nicely for Beal. Pierce is playing some big minutes now, but I think once Otto Porter gets going and everything else, like you said, I'd see him about 22 minutes a game. Pierce wants to be on the floor. He does not want to be sitting on the bench.
Well, what he wants to do and what his body's going to let him to do later in the game. I mean,
buddy, he's pretty durable. Other than when he got wheelchaired off in the finals against my Lakers, and then miraculously comes back out. Just disgusting.
Like when Hainsworth got carted off the field and he comes back like 3 plays later.
Don't ever bring his name up.
Well, the Wizards are 5-2, and it gets better.
That was awesome.
Because they play at home against Detroit and Orlando. And then they've got, those are both at home. Then you got 2 more home games against Dallas and Cleveland. I would love to go to that Cleveland game.
I know.
Man. Mm-hmm. It's a Friday night, so I can make
that happen. And they got a
happen.
chance. LeBron and the boys don't have it down yet. So if you're going to get Cleveland, get them now, because, once February 1st hits, once the All-Star break comes, they're going to find their stride.
And like I said, I mean, they're 5-2. The only teams that are, that have, fewer losses, in the Eastern Conference
Toronto,
are
who beat 'em.
Toronto.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, Chicago's 6-2. And my prediction, I do remember this, was Chicago with Derrick Rose would be the number 1 seed. I think I had Cleveland at like a 3 or 4 seed. I think I had Washington at maybe the 2 seed.
Where do you have the Toronto Drakes?
The Toronto Drakes, I think I had them at like 3 or 4. I had them up there.
Yeah,
as well.
they can ball.
But you got a lot. I mean, usually I'm anti-NBA because I think there's a lot of bad teams, and I think it's just mediocre teams at the top. I think there's good teams in the NBA this year.
I like watching the Charlotte team play. I think they're an interesting team. Even though the Lakers got their first win off of them, so Charles Barkley can eat. I'm glad to see them getting some exposure. I love the name change going back to them. The Jordan angle is intriguing, but they have some real lightning rods on their team, and they should be exciting to watch throughout the year.
Anthony Davis, best player in the league. I'm an Anthony Davis, one of the biggest fans of Anthony Davis. The unibrow can straight ball.
Well, he's on New Orleans.
I know, but I just had to bring him up.
Okay, yeah.
I know we're running out of time, and if I don't say Anthony, he's kind of like my Andre Ellington.
I
love Andre Ellington in the NFL and Anthony Davis in the NBA.
Anthony Davis probably has to be your MVP of the league right now. No, being in all seriousness,
He's balling.
And
I didn't like him coming out of Kentucky. I don't
like his frame. It looks fragile, but
look how big he is now. Coming out of Kentucky, he looks like a tall, lanky kid. And you look at him now, you're like,
he's put on some
man.
muscle.
he's solid. I tell you,
Yeah.
that's the future of Team USA basketball, which is my favorite basketball team in the world.
That's a grown ass
Team
man.
Team
USA.
USA. People always ask me my
basketball
favorite
team in
team.
the
I
world.
always say Team USA. I mean,
Best team ever assembled was the Dream Team.
I like Team
Oh,
Lithuania.
well, thanks for going out on a limb there, Chad. The best team ever assembled is
This just in.
8 of the 20 best players of all time. Yeah, I think
Chad,
the
always put
29
himself out
Yankees
there.
were a pretty solid team, too.
He's always putting himself out there, making those
That
bold
was my
statements.
I know,
prediction.
and then so he can walk around saying, I told you the Dream Team was the best ever. Unbelievable.
Hey,
man.
I picked the Arizona
Have
Cardinals.
some more of that.
Arizona Cardinals.
Have some more of that Sophie, Chad. My God.
On that note, we kind of let time run out from under us today, but that's okay.
Matt's been hating us. I know.
we
AJ
do have to-
Studios.
Sorry, Matt.
We do have to wrap
No,
it
you're
up.
talker.
No, you're not.
We do have to wrap it up, but thank you for tuning into the Three Frosted Mugs, and thank you, Matt, for running the equipment and solving whatever issue didn't really happen about 10 minutes ago. Appreciate that as well.
Dire emergency.
Big thank you to AJ Studios for all of the post-production and graphics work that you do. You can watch more of these episodes and our Fantasy Focus show at 3frostedmugs.com. That's 3frostedmugs.com. You can put in your Pick 3 Plus as well.
Yes, you can.
And you can rewind to the beginning of the show to understand how that works. And then you can also contact us on our Three Frosted Mugs Facebook page or tweet us.
Yeah, Twitter's hot right now.
Twitter,
I don't know if you guys
it's
are
on
aware.
fire. It's the new fad right now. So it's at 3 Frosted Mugs. That's frosted with no vowels. That's FRSTD. With any questions, comments related to the show, sports, or anything else you might want to talk about. And again, thank you for watching for the Three Frosted Mugs. I'm Rodney with Chad, Brian, and Matt. And may all of your parlay dreams come true.